It's Regina. Welcome back to my haunted library. Things might look a little different because I'm using a different camera today. Normally I shoot on my iPhone, but I'm now switching to a different camera. I can't see myself, so I don't know if I'm in focus. I hope that it works out. So if it's weird, it'll get better as I learn how to use the camera a little more. So today we are now in spring officially. We had a lovely spring equinox with the full moon that, I don't know about you, but sent a few storms through my horror-loving brain. But hopefully the weather will start to improve. So today I wanted to talk about a massive, massive horror haul. I went to a different part of my state, which is Pennsylvania, a different part of the county, and found some wonderful Christian bookstores, I mean thrift stores. There was all kinds of stuff in there. Really, really bad music played really loud, but if you can get past that, they had some amazing deals on the horror section of all things. Also, I recently did an eBay lot of some horror books that are also included, so I don't know which ones I got at the thrift store and which ones I got at the lot. But I thought I would just go through this. This might even be 2 videos because there's just so much. It's crazy. So I'm going to talk about each one and then I'll do a close-up because we love the covers of these things, right? This one is called Last Come the Children. And this is some of these that I got, and maybe it's because it's a Christian bookstore, I don't know. But it doesn't, like, they have not even been, the spine hasn't even been broken on most of these books. They've just come virgin books untouched until I get my paws on them. So this is from 1982, and Tom Doherty Associates, I don't know that publisher, by David Hagberg, author of The Hollow Men. This might ring a bell for some of you, but let's see what it says. Last come the children. Frank Rader was dead, but suddenly he recovered. It was time to celebrate a Halloween party. That's always a good idea. In the Raiders' rec room. They still call them rec rooms, I wonder. My family did not have a rec room. We weren't that type. We had like a rec house. Rec room would be just right, cheerful, harmless fun with a group of good friends. It never works out that way, though, does it? Of course, the party had nothing to do with the grisly murders in the town. Of course, it had nothing to do with Cheryl Rader's mounting horror at the change in her husband, or her growing terror for her daughters. Of course, it wouldn't turn the group into servants of evil, with human sacrifice as their price of survival. First came the party, ... Last came the children. All right, so next, Dead City. They say They Won't Stay Dead by Joe McKinney. This is a newer one, and there are several newer ones in here. By Pinnacle Books, 2006. I'm not going to read all of the descriptions because I have so many books, but Texas Toast, it says. The Nightmare Begins, Hell on Earth. This looks like a pretty typical horror book from that time. God knows if I'll ever get around to reading any of them. Whoops. This one, I've recognized this author, Ken Elo, E-U-L-O. I don't know if I'm saying it right. This is called The Bloodstone. This looks like it should be a die cut, but it's not. I thought maybe there was something cool happening there with the skull, but alas, no. I'm just going to start piling them up because there's so many. So this is a John Saul. I was a big John Saul fan back in the high school days. This one's called Hellfire. I like the kind of scanners looking cover. This came out in 1986, and I have a few John Sauls on my shelf at the moment that I'm sure I'll get around to reading one of these days. Here comes another one. Comes the Blind Fury. I remember reading these in high school, like Suffer the Children. There was a whole bunch of them. This one is a really nice copy. Like I said, it looks like this whoever donated these books, and of course I'm concocting a whole story in my mind about this Christian bookstore, like maybe some irate parent finally decided to like take her old, teenage, well, you wouldn't be a teenage now because these are so old. Anyway, I'm concocting some kind of story about maybe these were in a box in the attic, like the children in the attic, and anyway, I'm going off. But this is a nice copy. And it has this kind of cool Dayglow looking cover. So, and spooky chick on the front. So yeah, I will get around to that someday. This one I was really thrilled to find because I think it is actually featured in Paperbacks from Hell. I'll have to check it out. But this is called Pin by Andrew Niederman. Andrew Niederman, I believe, was the writer who took over for V.C. Andrews when she passed away. Pretty sure. But it has a very cool die-cut cover with some dude with, I don't know, he's all kind of just like veins, I guess. And then inside, something's going on. I really wish this haircut would come back for young men. It's very cool. So let's see what's going on with Pin. This looks like something I will have to read. Young Leon and Ursula had little except each other and Pin. Mother was driven by psychotic compulsion to clean constantly. Everything in sight. Father was consumed by his medical practice and an analytical approach to life. But he understood the sensual hunger growing inside his children's young bodies. He knew they would need each other. He knew they could help each other answer the need. Father had science, Father had reason, and he had Pin. This sounds really cool. Pin, who answered all the children's questions in a voice not unlike the doctor's. Father's clever trick, Father's brilliant illusion. But there's always a but. But then there was the accident. Mother and the doctor were dead, but there was still Pin, who had so much to tell them, even yet. All right, it goes on and on and on, but Pin looks really cool. All right, what's next? This one's called Ferocity by Stephen Laws, and it has like some, looks like a jaguar or something on the front. Okay, let's see. Something is stalking the Northumberland moors. No one is sure exactly what it is, but something is slaughtering sheep and other livestock. There has been sightings of a big cat, a huge feral creature that has so far managed to elude capture. Okay, so this is like some wild cat story. Okay, so next we have Brian Keene, Castaways. I'm always happy to add another Brian Keene to my library. I think he's great, and he's picked up the mantle for horror and has run with it. And I've never read a bad book of his. Maybe they're not like earth-shattering, but they're always interesting. There's always something about them that I really enjoy. So what's next? Here's an early one. This is called Visions of Terror. And this one, again, no one in the Christian bookstore read it. Or maybe they did it secretly. 1981, Warner Communications, by William Katz. Visions. What is more terrible than a nightmare? Visions of terror, because they come true. This looks like, you know, your typical early 80s kind of horror paperback from hell. Here's another early 80s around the same time. This one's called Cry for the Demon by Julia Grisey. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Where the lava flows and sharks hunt, Anne Southold has found a retreat on the island of Maui. Here the painful memory of her husband dims, her guilt and fears are assuaged, and she meets a dark man who calls to her, a man who wants her more than any man has ever wanted her before. Cry for the Demon. This is kind of like maybe like, Demon Lover, right? Kubla Khan, kind of playing on that. It's a cool cover. Kind of reminds me of like Jaws or The Deep. 1980. All right, so next we have a newer one. This is called The Dweller by Jeff Strand. Again, this is probably one from an early 2000s, I'm guessing. 2010, another leisure book. Here's another one. This is a little earlier. This is called Summer of the Dragon by Elizabeth Peters. It came out in 1979. So going into the 70s, which, you know, they're kind of hard to find anymore. This was actually in the fantasy section of my local bookstore. So I don't know if this is horror or fantasy. but it looked kind of cool. Okay, this is another newer one, The Secret History of Vampires. This is a vampire lore anthology that looks pretty neat. I like the cover. And this came out in 2007, so it got quite a few like early 2000s horror books, sort of during the dwindling years. This is a cool one. This I found at the Christian thrift store called Blood Fever, and it has this creepy looking bride kind of revealing a scary face. In a peaceful little town, something is moving in silent rage, and the men have every reason to be afraid. I like it when the men are afraid of the women in horror, or the reverse, when the women are afraid of the men. It's a fun device that hasn't been used too much in recent years. Down tree-lined streets, through locked doors, it comes, drawing an unseen line between every man and every woman. Then one must live and one must die. Soon a whole town will be plunged into a terrifying war between the sexes. That sounds pretty cool. And it starts with, he found her in the shower. And again, these are virgin books. They've never been cracked open in this Christian bookstore. Copyright 1982. This looks pretty cool. Oh my God, I have so many. This is another female author called Marilyn Harris, Night Games. It says, Harris is best to date, an unusual novel with a Shirley Jackson-like intensity. I have no idea what is going on with this cover. I was staring at it. It has this kind of metallic sheen to it. Is it like a mask? A mask breaking off a silver face. It kind of changes when you go like this. I have no idea, and it has a very long description on the back, so, you know, I don't know if I can't read them all. This I was happy to find. This is a fantasy paperback by Ursula K. Le Guin, who's a very famous fantasy writer whom I've never read. This is called The Left Hand of Darkness. It's like a sci-fi fantasy from 1969. So this is a little, probably of all of these, probably one of the earliest ones I found. And this is, because I'm starting to really get into fantasy, this is a writer that I really like to check out. So I might start with this. Oh, and I found a nice Dean Koontz. I mean, he's written so many books, and I like his work a lot. So, you know, this was just a, you know, sort of a basic paperback from... Never read this one. 1991, so it's pretty early. And then I hit like a V.C. Andrews bonanza at the same Christian bookstore, and I bought out basically the entire stock of V.C. Andrews because I couldn't resist. They were 50 cents each, and they're all from the 90s with that amazing die-cut cover with the creepy family. And I actually do enjoy reading these, so it wasn't just a waste of money. I will get my money's worth from all of these. It starts with The Dark Angel, and I'll do a close-up of these and maybe do a little montage, which I think was the last one that V.C. Andrews actually wrote, and before her ghostwriter, who is, I mentioned it before, I'll put him here. Okay, so I just have tons and tons and tons of these V.C. Andrews books. I mean, we've got like creepy grandma giving stink eye to like the son who she's probably having sex with in the attic. I mean, that's the way these books work, and there's something just fabulous about it. We have, oh my God, this looks like, you know, Ivana Trump over here with Ivanka. It just, there's something about these covers that I just could not resist, and so 50 cents each, I bought them all. This one's got like this one's called Ruby, and you've got like crazy grandpa or somebody, you know, attacking the family. They're all of these books. Oh my God, there's Ivana Trump and Jared, you know, right there. All of these books have to do with like a gothic family dysfunction. More than like straight up horror, I would definitely put them into like Southern Gothic pulp fiction. And I just can't get over how great. Ooh, don't you love it when you find something in the book? This is a receipt. December 9th, 1990 for $6.31. And then I noticed that some of them have, I mean, this one has like an extra, this one, Pearl in the Mist, has a great photo inside. It just makes you want to read the book. And this one also has you could tear off, it has like a bookmark in the back. So you have like an extra little thing to play with. And you got this cute girl in her 90s outfit. I remember wearing dresses like that. So for $5, whoa, I got all of these amazing V.C. Andrews books that I can't wait to dig into. I just love them so much. So I was so excited when I saw this at the Christian bookstore. And I'd love to know who owned these, because I have a feeling they all came from the same person. At the same Christian bookstore, I found a bunch of Nancy Drews that I didn't have. Now, look, a lot of girls my age, we started with this version of Nancy Drew, which came out in the 60s. So these are the only ones that I collect. I don't collect the newer ones, and I used to have some of the original ones that I wish I'd hung on to them, because now they're worth a lot of money, but in my family, we just read them to death. But I do collect this version, and I found a few Nancy Drews that I didn't have in my collection, and they were also like 50 cents each. So that is my crazy horror haul from the Christian bookstore and from other sources like eBay and my own local secondhand bookstore. So I'm going to have to put a whole new shelf in my library to accommodate all of these crazy books, and maybe one of these days I will actually get around to reading them. So that's all I have for today. Let me know below if you've had any recent hauls, or if you've read any of these books that I've gone over, and let me know what you think. So thanks for stopping by my haunted library, and I'll see you soon. Bye.